Ralph Breaks the Internet.
Break the internet? It's like a thing.
It's like a thing.
I don't know why the powers that be at Disney behind the making of these Wreck-It Ralph movies have such an aversion to following through on the concept of a movie about a video game world. The first one, despite being a pretty solid film from a character and thematic standpoint, abandoned the video game premise within the first 25 minutes to shift focus entirely onto a different protagonist and story about the politics of this candy go-karting world. It'd be like if in Toy Story, once Buzz Lightyear gets introduced 20 minutes in, the entire rest of the movie was about Woody going up to Star Command with Buzz to fend off an alien invasion. Like, there's nothing wrong with Vanellope as a character or the world of Sugar Rush conceptually, but it should have been a 10-minute sequence, not 3/4 of the movie's runtime. By the midway point of the movie, Ralph has become a supporting character in his own film whose plot now revolves completely around Vanellope.
Hold it right there, Lynch! And Wreck-It Ralph!
In Japan, the movie isn't even called Wreck-It Ralph, instead going by the much more appropriate title, Sugar Rush. Wreck-It Ralph 2 isn't even bothering with the pretense that it's supposed to be about the secret world of video game characters that comes alive after the kids leave the arcade, and instead spends most of the film making lazy observational internet humor and shoving product placement down your throat a la the Emoji Movie.
Wow, look at all this stuff.
This episode is brought to you by Toad's new cream chip beef corned beef hash combo can. It's part of Toad's new beef series.
Not only is it lazily written and very little of it funny, but despite the film having come out only 2 weeks ago as of this recording, most of the internet cultural references already feel 3 to 5 years out of date with abundant jokes about cats and goat videos. It's as if this movie were written and produced by a bunch of people in their 50s and 60s who have no idea what they're talking about.
The kids still like the goat videos, right? That's still a thing, right?
It's like a thing.
The one sequence in the trailers that's actually about online games is not even in the movie! On top of that, the movie completely lacks 90+% of the whimsy, charm, and dramatic character depth that made the first one shine despite completely having reneged on its premise. The two most entertaining characters from the first film are almost completely absent this time around, replaced instead by Gal Gadot, whose strengths apparently do not at all lie in voice acting, as well as this other character who is a literal embodiment of the YouTube algorithm. This character comes complete with jokes about the fickle and arbitrary nature of what gets promoted, as well as how the algorithm unfairly favors certain channels over others. Yeah, thanks for that one.
It's like a thing.
Except that all of this is played off as fun and games and treated as a good thing that helps out our heroes. Like, all the content that gets suppressed by the algorithm is just low-effort cat videos and reposts. This movie completely undermines the message of the previous one in ways that I can't talk about without spoilers, so skip to this time code if you want to avoid them. Okay, so in the first Wreck-It Ralph, staying in your own game is treated as a metaphor for accepting who you are and learning to be happy with yourself.
You can't mess with the program, Ralph. You're not going turbo, are you?
When Ralph and Turbo abandon their games to participate in other games, it has dire consequences every time.
Turbo ended up putting both games and himself out of order.
Ralph concludes the film having changed his attitude and learning to enjoy staying in his game, while Turbo refuses to give it up and gets killed. Wreck-It Ralph 2 similarly includes a subplot where Vanellope wants to leave Sugar Rush to join the roster of Gal Gadot's online racing game set in a dystopian city. However, this time her wanting to do this is presented by the movie as her just having to go follow her dreams, complete with a sort of unfunny parody of a Disney princess song. The film actually ends with Gal Gadot permanently integrating Vanellope into the new game, and it's not a problem at all. Nobody in the real world notices, I guess.
Hey, is that...
Turbo-tastic!
That looks like Turbo.
It's mentioned briefly early in the film that the company who made Sugar Rush is out of business, but surely someone else would hold the rights to those assets and sue the pants out of this online game for infringing upon their copyright by adding Vanellope. The game devs would also have no idea what was happening. Someone would get fired over this, and Vanellope would absolutely end up being deleted.
You dingus.
The rest of the film is a self-congratulatory Disney bragging about how much stuff they own, carting around iconic characters from their own library as well as Pixar and Star Wars. Funnily enough, there's almost no mention of Marvel or the MCU, which is just as well because it's probably the only branch of the company at this point that I don't actively dislike the current trajectory of. Okay, where was I? Right, Wreck-It Ralph 2. Yeah, it's just not very good, guys. The two central characters have lost everything that made them interesting or likable the first time, and the narrative stumbles around trying to say something about letting go of your insecurities, but that kind of thing has been done a lot better in other recent Disney films.
Let it go.
Most of the voice cast is great, the animation is of course spectacular, and there were admittedly one or two jokes I laughed pretty hard at, but it's definitely not enough to save the film. Despite having been falsely advertised, I like the original Wreck-It Ralph quite a lot. This time, however, you get exactly what's described on the box, and unfortunately what's on the box just looks like a knockoff of the Emoji Movie of all things. Save your time, save your money, just skip it. Thanks for watching. If you like this video, help me fight the evil algorithm by hitting that like button, subscribing to the channel if you're new, and ringing the bell. Leave a comment down below letting me know what you thought of Ralph Breaks the Internet. There's a lot of other content on this channel you can check out if you like this. Thanks very much once again for watching, and take care.
It's like a